Bringing in a new quarterback, what's your thought process on how he fits, what you're hoping long term, what sort of where you're looking at this whole thing?
Obviously, the guy was, I think, the Big Ten all-time passing leader. I've watched his film. He's talented. He's a passer with ability to move and escape and create. What he becomes, I think, is, still out there to be determined. I've watched him for one practice. He didn't get any reps really today because he's going to be on the practice squad for right now. But a talented kid, obviously a high pedigree.
How does that work as far as trying to get him some reps so you can actually see what he can do at this level?
It's tough. I mean, that's why training camp is so important. But I've been through this before with a number of quarterbacks that ended up starting. And the most important part really is to be sitting in and listening and watching and seeing how it's done and learning the game. And usually it's after year one that your opportunity presents itself.
You and he, I mean, there were probably no quarterbacking records there. You and he don't have feeling on that. I mean, seeing guys from
I think he has them all. I don't know. I mean, I think he has them all, doesn't he? I told him, I wrote him a letter last year or 2 years ago whenever he broke one of the bigger ones. And I don't think he ever got it. But, yeah, I mean, records are meant to be broken. But I'd say he more than broke them. He shattered everything, I think.
not much. This is sort of tailing off what Scott said there, that he's got a name that you sort of either have to live up to or down from or something like that. And we've never, since Johnny was here, we haven't had this much action, sort of social media. So how aware does everybody have to be about that?
I mean, it's for, I think, you guys to be aware of, I mean, and Talia knows he's going to have to prove himself on the field, and he's thankful for the opportunity, and he's going to have to earn it. And, that's the beauty of the CFL is, names, they get the same chances that everybody else does. That's one of the things I love about this league and this game is you got to prove that you can play, and I have no doubt that he'll prove that he can play. But it is a process, that position.
One more thing about him for me. There are a million quarterbacks out there playing at various places. When you are looking to bring in a guy like this, what is it that catches your eye that makes you think he could be a CFL quarterback?
Yeah, there aren't millions of good ones, I can tell you that. And I shouldn't stand here and act like I'm the one that brought him in. He's our personnel staff is the one. He was on our neg list, I think, before I even came up here. So they deserve the credit. But when I'm looking for a quarterback, I'm looking for a number of things. Accuracy, first and foremost. What kind of success did they have? He helped turn a program around there. And I think you'd say that about a number of our quarterbacks. Does he have the ability to escape? And if not, is he big? All those things. So there's certainly more than one way to play good quarterback in this league. I mean, I've had guys that don't move. I've had guys that can move, guys like Zach. So there's a lot of different ways to get it done, but they've got to have some of those characteristics and some of the mental characteristics and leadership abilities. And those are things I don't know at this point with him.
Home opener on Sunday. Obviously, a lot of new guys on this team. You were here last year, but expectations about getting out there in front of this home crowd and putting on a show for the people of Hamilton?
Yeah, we're excited to get back at it. We're excited to get back in the fight and learn from our mistakes. And, usually the biggest leap is between week 1 and week 2, and we're certainly anticipating that and expecting that from coaches, players, staff, everybody.
James has his first action all year. It looks like he's recovered. I mean, there's no after effects or anything from that yet. You really had to make sure of that first of all.
He looked great. He performed better than I thought was possible, considering how long he was out and how few reps he took last week. He's a tough young man, and he's a really, really good football player. We had a plan to take him out probably more often, and I just said, communicate with me during the game. I kept talking, are you okay? I kept saying, I'm okay. So we kept riding him, and I thought it was an outstanding performance by him.
I assume that, I don't know if the films would show you the same thing, but your offensive line, and partly on the results of what he did, makes the honor roll, whatever they call it there. Did you see the same kind of thing in the film?
I thought the O-line did a good job. There was we only had the one sack. There was more pressures than showed up, obviously, as part of the reason why we saw Bo moving around more often than we did. So there's some things that we need to clean up for sure. In the run game, I thought they did an excellent job. I thought their pad level was low. The double teams were good. When we were pulling guys, I thought they were doing what they needed to do and making the right reads.
What are you
Peters,
Yes.
I'm hoping he can play.
And what about Richard? Just following up, I mean,
Yeah, too early to determine for sure really on either of those guys, but I'm optimistic that both of them have the opportunity to play.
is O'Leary orange?
He was not out there today, no.
Yeah, that's what I didn't think of anything.
I believe he'll be okay too.
Back to James for a sec. You say you were talking to him, but you weren't planning to play him as much. Were you planning for as much of a running game, or did he force your hand to increase the amount of runs?
Yeah, I think we probably always planned to run it that much. We would have kept running it if we did, didn't fall behind there in the second half where we had to throw it a little bit more. And they were giving us defenses that were conducive to running it. And so when that happens, we're going to keep running it.
This is the first of 2 straight against Sask. What's your philosophy on how much you install, what you change from game to game, or is it just you treat every game as the game itself?
Pretty much the latter. Sometimes you'll go in a little heavy on the game plan so that whatever you didn't use, you already can build on for next week. So there's not as much learning for the second week. But fortunately, it's not a short week for the second week. So really, we're concerned about winning this one.
Saskatchewan, as far as what they do, what they don't do this year, or are you still kind of guessing at this point?
I mean, it depends. We're going back and scouting the coordinators. So I think we have unless he's changed things up a bunch from what he did in Toronto and what he showed in the first game, that's kind of the route you take.
Thanks, guys.
Thank you, guys.